sorry. No, it's fine. Yeah, we just covered that. Partially because, yeah, it's man-made, brother, is what people will say, I suspect. But all right. Let's get to millions of Americans prepare to lose SNAP benefits as shutdown continues. People are scared.
Federal employees is breaking with Democrats and pushing for an immediate deal
Everybody say
to end
everybody say thank you, Stinky.
this government shutdown. Thousands of federal workers will not get their scheduled paychecks this week. The shutdown now may have an even bigger impact starting this Saturday. Caitlin Huey-Burns has that part of the story.
Erin Annis is one of more than 40 million Americans who rely on federal food assistance.
We're just people that just need to eat and have some security in our lives. That's what it's about.
But due to the government shutdown, that help may soon run out. The USDA has declared that there will be no benefits issued beginning this Saturday, November 1st. For Annis, it's a daunting deadline. The Pennsylvania native never thought she'd need SNAP benefits, but 3 bouts of cancer and a double knee replacement left her unable to work.
Having those resources, what does it mean for your life?
Everything. It means everything to me.
What exactly do you think you're going to need to do?
I'll have to ask my children to help me.
And what is...
That's an awful feeling.
How so?
For them to have to help me.
Even in...
It's a little tough to think about sometimes.
She'll also turn to her local food pantry. Shyla Ulrich is CEO of the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank and is expecting demand to increase.
People are scared. It's a moment where people don't know and understand what's about to happen, whether or not they'll get those benefits should the government open back up or when.
And while lawmakers continue to point fingers,
the best way for SNAP benefits to be paid on time is for the Democrats to end their shutdown.
They shut the government down, then they left town, and now they're nowhere to be found.
Annis says she just wants politicians to talk to each other and find a solution.
This should not be a political issue. This should be a human privilege to be fed.
Now, the USDA announced that it cannot legally tap into a contingency fund to help pay.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. The notion that the USDA cannot legally tap into its contingency fund is a legal hurdle that the Trump administration itself put on the contingency fund. It's a fucking contingency fund. What are you talking about? That's literally why it fucking exists. States are now going to sue the federal government, by the way, to ensure that this doesn't happen.
Or SNAP benefits, saying that that's reserved for natural disasters. But there is a Republican proposal here in the Senate to pay for those benefits. But Nate, it's unclear whether or when that would get a vote.
Yeah, and we will stay tuned. Caitlin, thank you.
This morning, day 28 of the government shutdown with no end in sight, and the U.S. now careening toward a hunger crisis. 48 states now warning if the shutdown continues by the end of the week, they'll be forced to stop distributing SNAP food assistance, a lifeline for some 42 million low-income Americans. Simone Wilkes, a single mom of 2 young boys in Michigan, telling me she's worried about what that means for her family.
I'm already struggling. I'm already stretching food.
Will there be some days where they will eat and you won't?
Yes, it already has started. It already has started. It has been days where the kids will eat and I'll just survive off water.
Food banks across the country now seeing a surge of demand. In Washington, D.C., we met unpaid federal workers standing in line at this makeshift kitchen for a free meal.
You never thought you'd have to budget for food like this?
No, not with what is supposed to be a secured income with the federal government.
Food pantries even popping up at airports across the country to help struggling TSA agents and air traffic controllers forced to work without pay. And this morning, nearly 11.
Richest country on earth, by the way. Bread lines in the richest country on earth, by the way. And unlike the bread lines in the USSR, it's not even the government that is providing this. It's just regular folks that are digging into their own wallets to help others. Okay? So remember that. Because bread lines, the way that they are presented, is a failure of the system. And yet it was the system itself trying to make sure that people kept, getting food. We in this country have not only necessitated bread lines, but we also don't even fucking offer it by the government. We're giving away the responsibility to those who are individual donors. Keep the shutdown. I'm enjoying watching half the left make fools of themselves. Interesting. Are you a billionaire or a multimillionaire perchance? Because if you're not, and I say this as someone who is a very loud critic of the Democratic Party, if you're not a billionaire or millionaire and you're celebrating this shutdown without recognizing why it's happening, let me explain it to you. Okay? No, not even the fucking CEO of Walmart enjoys the shutdown, chatter. The CEO of Walmart is even suffering in the shutdown if their goal is to... the CEO of Walmart is not suffering like the average people are, but the CEO of Walmart takes a hit on this too. What do you think happens when most of the Walmart workers rely on SNAP benefits to purchase food at Walmart? It cooks the CEO of Walmart too. Or at least the profit margins of Walmart too. Not to say that we should pity Walmart. I'm not talking about that. But yeah, it's like a chunk of their sales come directly from SNAP. Look, I know when matters that pertain to fraud, specifically at the point of like the healthcare provider, done at the corporate level in a country like China, would be punished. In a country like the United States of America, however, you get to become Rick Scott. Just say. It's celebrated. It's praised. You're a brilliant business owner. It's fucking awesome. What should happen to Rick Scott? He should be thrown in prison. How should governments be held accountable for efficiency and quality of service without the profit motive? There is no accountability for the private sector, especially when corporate consolidation exists. The way you hold the government accountable is through democracy. The government is the only accountable figure here. Private companies are not accountable at all. That's so funny. This is unironically the maximalist capitalist position, by the way, which is like, I don't understand. Like, what's the capitalist profit incentive for the government to provide healthcare? And then ensure, well, like, what's the incentive to make sure that healthcare is actually good? This is the problem. People don't even realize that they like that's what's called democracy. Okay? There is no accountability for private corporations, not at all. Unironically, we still have a chance to beat China tomorrow if we pursue democratic communism, as China's system is not directly democratic, but of course we won't take this opportunity. You're out of your fucking mind. Virtually every single thing you said is wrong. What the fuck? There is, I'm sorry, chatter. There is 0% chance. 0% chance of any of those things happening. And if anything, it would require an authoritarian strong-arming all aspects of capital to literally, by force, move this country in the direction of a centralized planning. It would be the most like seemingly undemocratic. What you're talking about would be a dictatorship, not of capital owners, which is what exists now, but a dictatorship of the working class. And even then, capital owners would present that as the most consequential, most catastrophic. There'd be capital strikes. They would consider that to be the worst thing that has ever happened. In the eyes of a capital owner, the loss of capital is the worst thing that can happen. It's worse than death. Having said that, in the impossible scenario where that even takes place, there is 0% chance we'll be able to catch up to China. And also, even when you became socialist of that sort, why the fuck would you even compete with China? You would coexist with China in that situation. There would be no more reason to compete with China. You would be China. American style. Socialism with Chinese characteristics with American characteristics is what it would look like. We are never getting bone glue, bro. I'm just saying. Like, look at what the fuck is happening in America. Even at the point of like the closest that you can arrive at like a socialized structure of healthcare for people who just desperately need it because they can't work, right? Past the point of being a part of the labor force, right? You cannot be a productive laborer at that age, 65 plus. And even then, we got the allowances and we still slam in an additional opportunity. I wouldn't even say this is a consequence or an unforeseeable consequence of capitalism. This is the point of public-private partnership, is so that somebody out there is an expensive middleman that doesn't need to exist at all, that will artificially inflate costs just so they can turn a fucking profit. 20 people thinks China is good. Wait till everything you eat are made with sewage oil. Wait, what? Sewage oil? That's awesome. Are you saying that everyone in China is eating sewage oil? What's sewage oil? Like, are they... Is this like a tofu dreg style anti-China sentiment? I didn't even know that was like a thing that people say about China. Is that the new tofu dreg meta? 2012 Chud talking point. The food production is scoop oil from the sewer. Oh. Cool. Chinese racism from 2009. Hell yeah. To use a really big ladle? Is that like the Indian food, the racist ass like Indian food is unclean meta? Is that what it is, but for China? I'm from Hong Kong. I know because they killed us. It's gutter oil is a stereotype about bad oil in Chinese cooking.
Because...
What is this? Ew. Chinese cooking demystified.
Be a scandal. If that's the case, how can we possibly make sense of these videos today? Now, to do so, I think it's really important to understand that manufacturing gutter oil for human consumption is very illegal. but collecting, manufacturing, and even selling it to restaurants is not. Now, that's going to seem counterintuitive, but I promise that it makes a ton of sense.
Timing me out for telling the truth? No, I didn't time you out. You got Fossabot, dummy. You got timed out by Fossabot. It's not a matter of people being okay with this. It's a matter that they don't know. They'll listen to the TV man, all the stuff. You wrote a long ass thing. That's why you got fucking cooked.
You see, restaurants have an oil problem. Now, when I say that, I'm sure your brain immediately goes to the deep fryer, and that is a thing, but it goes deeper than that. Like, even washing stuff. When you wash a dish at home, there's going to be like a thin smear of oil on that plate.
Read is above. Chats, he called you a terrorist? What, the you guys who love China don't understand that you're going to eat gutter oil? Socialized medicine doesn't work as well with large populations. Fucking bullshit. Gutter oil, hogwash oil, tainted oil, Chinese slang terms primarily used for China and Taiwan to refer to recycled oil. It can be used to describe the illicit practice of restaurants reusing cooking oil that has been cooked for longer than safety codes permit. It can also be used to describe the reprocessing of yellow grease collected from sources such as restaurants, fryers, kitchens, slaughterhouses, waste, and sewer drains. Since 2011, the Chinese government has significantly cracked down on the reuse of gutter oil for human consumption, with the Chinese government also implementing clear regulations for dealing with waste oil. Selling gutter oil in China can result in a lengthy prison sentence or the death sentence with reprieve. For example, in 2014, businessman Zhu Chuanfeng was sentenced to the latter for selling gutter oil. That same year, a major gutter oil scandal was uncovered in Taiwan. In 2015, Ye Wen-song, who was the chairman of a Taiwanese food company, was sentenced to 22 years imprisonment with a fine equivalent of $1.6 million for selling 243 tons of gutter oil. Their development, have there been hangups? Absolutely. Okay. But you are directly talking about America when you say this. This is the one thing you can't say about China. If anything, this is the exact opposite in China. Okay. You can say, oh, they only they only crack down on people who are not party loyalists, for example, right? They only crack down not on party loyalists or people who are close associates of the party leadership structure or whatever the fuck like that. Okay. But you can't say across the board that the Chinese legal system is a joke. If you have money, no one can torch you, because that is the one country on the planet, that and Vietnam, I would say, those are the two countries on the planet where they do torch you in spite of your money. If there's one country where if you have money, no one can torch you, it's the United States of America. I just feel like a lot of people don't know about China. They think they know because they won't let you know about it because you are foreigners. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but like, you know, you got 1 billion people in your population that have access to the internet and can talk to people all the time. I talk to Chinese people. I am related to Taiwanese people that live in China, in mainland China. Like, this is not like the DPRK. You can't just like keep things a secret. You know? That's precisely the reason why I would say that's precisely the reason why nowadays it's much harder to cook up narratives about China, like the ghost cities. You know? You know about the little red house and the chain woman? No, I don't know what that is, but that sounds also insane. They try to cover up. They killed a whistleblower of COVID. Okay. Why is it that every fucking anti-China guy just sounds like a Falun Gong cult member. We'll say about China and the USA are garbage and should be opposed. China is pathetic and so is China. China and the USA are garbage. China's an oligarchy like the USA. China is USA in the 50s. You dismissing what people say about China is dangerous, Hassan. China should be called out just like the USA. So Hassan is openly, China banned WikiLeaks. So Hassan is openly supporting CCPs. So Hassan is openly supporting CCP's oppression of people. What the fuck is going on? What is happening in the chat right now? What is happening in the chat? Hello? Where are these guys coming from? What the fuck? Is this gonna get worse the more apparent it is that China has lapped the United States of America? Instead of America taking a cold, hard look at ourselves to fix some of these complex issues that exist that don't need to, we're gonna turn around and we're gonna be like, no, actually, China is the most evil country on the planet. Because remember, we're literally watching a video about American healthcare. We're watching a video about American healthcare. And there are motherfuckers in here who are like, but what about China? What the hell is happening?
At a short-term rehab.
At painting it like a paradise. You don't even read the language. I mean, it's like Henry Kissinger keeps saying U.S. should not officially support Taiwan in case Taiwanese want to drag U.S. into war. I like that you fucking hate Israel, which I respect. Okay. And then you turn around and say the number one thing that Israel defenders say when defending Israel. Where you go, you know nothing about China and CCP, yet keep painting it as a paradise. You don't even read the language. No, this person is probably Taiwanese. That's for sure. Here in America, we just kill ourselves in the company bathroom or do a mass shooting at the job site like real freedom lovers. Yeah. The freedom to choose your own destiny in the United States of America. Also, yeah, I don't know if you saw this Taiwanese chatter. A warm welcome to APAC's first delegation to Taiwan as we deepen strategic partnerships, invest in advanced tech, and enhance our defense capabilities. We look forward to closer Taiwan, U.S., Israel cooperation on security, trade, and beyond, promoting peace across the Taiwan. Government supports Israel, hating all of Egypt, Saudi, Pakistan, etc. Chatters are quick to say delete Taiwan. I mean, I wasn't doing that. Taiwan has no options. Let's be real. They have to. This is what their role is over there to begin with. To cooperate with American interest.
You get a system where the incentives are clearly
by a country that also officially does not recognize Taiwanese independence, the United States of America. Also, just like that Taiwanese chatter pointed to, at the direction of Henry Kissinger and Nixon, believes that Taiwan is a part of mainland China, but they have strategic ambiguity. Now, I don't think a lot of this matters ultimately because, you know, they're just chilling. Kind of seems like it's an entire country comprised of people that just don't want to rock the boat overall. Which, what is happening? Illegal occupation is wrong, whether it be Israel or China. I don't understand.
6 square miles of.
All right. That's enough of that. Let's get back to more fresh hell in America. Amazon to lay off thousands of corporate workers.
Corporate workers. Our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, joined us with the details on that. Good morning, Rebecca.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. It's nice to see you guys. And these are deep, deep cuts. Amazon is planning to cut 14,000 corporate jobs starting this week. It is one of the largest rounds of layoffs in the company's history. Why would Amazon be doing this right now ahead of the holidays while the company seems to be doing well? Well, in a note to employees this morning, they say the world is changing quickly. This generation of AI is the most transformative technology.
That's a disgusting way to describe the treatment of the Uyghurs as if it's peaceful. No, that's not what I said. I've actually never said that. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. In comparison to what Israel has done to the Palestinians, it is not a comparison. But Americans, okay, I think I need to stop. I think I need to stop doing commentary in general. Maybe the TikTokers were right, because it's virtually impossible for me to do this when it's just a weird way to frame it. Is it a weird way to frame it because it hurts your feelings? Is that why it's a weird way to frame it? Kaya, I get. Oh my God. Kaya. No. Kaya, back up. Come here. Extensively. You can go watch my other videos, okay?
We have seen since the internet, and that's really echoing what CEO Andy Jassy started signaling this summer when he said generative AI could mean fewer workers. And Amazon isn't alone here making these changes in the midst of a major AI transformation. Target announced last week that it will be eliminating about 1,800 roles. Other tech giants like Microsoft, Meta, Google, and Intel have also made cuts this year. And this is important to follow because tech companies are a bellwether for the broader economy. They can be. And right now, hiring is slowing for the first time since the pandemic. There are more unemployed workers than jobs available, although overall unemployment is still historically low at 4.3%. And we've been talking about this AI transformation that we are seeing right now. Some have likened it to the Industrial Revolution, but the Industrial Revolution took place over many, many years. This is going so fast. So while AI will create jobs, they might be created slower than some of this job destruction we're seeing. And it's really something to follow.
Insane.
President Trump is in Japan this morning as part of a high-stakes trip to Asia. He met with that country's new prime minister, who had plenty of praise for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, plenty of praise for her. It was mutual, but they did not announce any new trade deals. The two leaders also appeared at one point before U.S. troops at a naval base, all of this happening against a backdrop
So they're just firing their own workers, giving it to the AI, and then hiring people to fix the mistakes of the AI? Yes.
of military and trade tensions with China. Nancy Cordes has a new stamp in her passport. She's in Tokyo for us. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. Yeah, and a lot of what the president is doing here in Japan is designed to project strength in advance of his meeting with China's president later this week. And so he announced that Japan would be receiving a new shipment of missiles for F-35s within the week, and he touted new economic partnerships with Japan, too.
In her diplomatic debut as prime minister, Sanai Takaichi heaped praise on President Trump and vowed to make new investments in the U.S. By the time they toured a U.S. aircraft carrier south of Tokyo, the two were fast friends.
The first female prime minister in the history of Japan.
Woke. He's so woke. He's woke. He's woke as hell. The first female. Yeah, Japan will buy the F-35s. They will get more missiles. They must build their military. Japan's new Minister of Finance may have read Noah Smith's Weeb economy book. She tweeted an endorsement of it back in April when he was visiting Tokyo and met her. Oh no, providing advice about the tariff situation. Oh no. Oh, Japan has fallen. Japan has fallen. It was already fallen. But it's going to fall even further. That's right.
Madam Prime Minister,
They signed an agreement to work together to extract critical rare earth minerals, key components in everything from cars to fighter jets.
We are an ally at the strongest level.
It's the third such agreement Trump has signed since China threatened to restrict access to its own rare earths. And China processes more than 90% of the world's supply.
I think that good luck to Donald Trump, and good luck to America in in gearing up their own rare earth processing facilities in a short enough timeline to instead of just like playing ball with China and being normal about global trade. Donald Trump is like, nope, nope. We're going to go around and we're going to find new places to do this, new facilities.
Chinese have withheld it because they're in a poker game with the United States.
Nicholas Burns was U.S. ambassador to China under President Biden. He says the world is watching to see if Trump and China's President Xi Jinping can diffuse 6 months of trade tension.
What's the impact for American consumers?
Again, trade tension that Trump caused. Trade tension that single-handedly was started by Trump. We are so many news cycles removed from this. And it's just like, we have to remember, he broke this. Okay? He broke this single-handedly. Okay? Trump did this. I hope people don't forget that Trump did this. He is the one who did this. Okay? He did it. And it makes no sense for him to do so. And there is no alternative, especially at the domestic front. And instead, he's relying on a sequence of other vassal states in the region, some of which are very close in trade relations with China. Okay, that's also something to remember here. Like very close in both proximity and trade relations to China, to decouple everyone around China and America from China, the manufacturing hub of the planet. And also our most consequential trade partner. Like 30% of all of our manufacturing comes from China. And Donald Trump doesn't want that to happen anymore because he wants to go to war with China. But it's pretty funny that like this patchwork of rare earth mineral extraction and processing only is happening because he is trying to posture against China and decided to fuck the board up. Our own design on global trade.
Consumers if President Trump and President Xi don't strike a trade deal?
Well, continued high tariffs would really be consequential for the global economy. It would grind to a halt.
If China's 30%, what are the other? Mexico and Canada.
Most of the trade between China and the U.S.
Chinese officials
in creating networks of anti-China propaganda around the globe. No, not just trade war. The trade war comes first. If you can try and successfully decouple yourself from your over-reliance on China for manufacturing, which, again, who knows how that will work, or who knows how many years in the future that will actually be a success. But if that's what you're posturing towards, the reason why you're doing that is so that you can engage in some kind of Cold War directly with China. And it's not exactly a hidden thing. Our politicians, both on the Democratic Party side and on the Republican Party side, actively say that this is what they want to do. America presents China as the greatest adversary. The major difference between the USSR and America during the Cold War versus China and America right now is trade. The USSR did not have such a complex trade relation with the United States of America. That is also the reason why we're giving missiles to Japan, a country whose constitution we wrote after World War II that is not supposed to even have a standing military. The American military is the Japanese military. The Japanese have a Japanese self-defense force, which is not really like a full-blown military. Okay? But the reason why America is setting up missile bases in and around that region is so that those missile bases can directly put the crosshairs on both China and North Korea as well. And yes, this posture started under the Obama administration. Yes. Which is ironic because they always say Obama went on an apology tour in Asia. This is likely the American plan, decouple trade with China. Then once the money is saved, they try to bait China into taking Taiwan, probably by declaring Taiwanese independence, and use that as an excuse to our allies to invade China or at least sanction them or go to war in the full Cold War. Yeah, I don't know about full invasion of the Chinese mainland. The entire point of the Vietnam War, the support of the KMT, the Korean War were all about China containment policy. Why the hell do chatters not think the U.S. wouldn't gladly fight China? Yeah. The only reason why the U.S. can't currently fight China is because China controls all the fucking rare earth minerals. That's it. And not only that, but also is responsible for 30% of all American trade. This is a terrifying. But the reason why this shutdown is continuing is because Republicans do not want to offer ACA subsidies so that the states where people need additional help from the federal government to literally subsidize their already incredibly costly healthcare premiums don't get it. That's the only reason why they are refusing. That's the only reason. They are dangling the starvation of 40 million Americans as a counter to the healthcare, like millions, tens of millions of Americans losing their fucking healthcare. That is the weird Sophie's choice that the Republicans have presented. It's fucking insane.
1,000 air traffic controllers like Peter Lefevre missing their first full paycheck. Pay stubs like this one obtained by ABC News showing $0.
The prospect of going another pay period without pay is weighing on the minds of myself and all the people that I work with.
Here on Capitol Hill, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley has introduced a bill to fund SNAP even during the shutdown, but Senate Republican leaders don't appear sold on giving it a vote, instead calling on Democrats to vote to reopen the government. And Democrats have said first they want Republicans to negotiate with them on preventing insurance premiums for skyrocketing for some 20 million Americans on the Affordable Care Act. George.
Jay O'Brien, thanks.
Now to Amazon, planning to cut thousands of
It's so insane that is what the dynamic is right now. Republicans refuse.
Down to 896.
Oh, my Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, I'm going to hold it together here. So 896 millibars is stronger than Hurricane Milton when it made that run last year. Remember my viral moment last year? 50 millibars in 10 hours, right? It got down to 897 millibars. Now it turns out Melissa has broken or gone past Milton's wreck. So there's only one hurricane. There's only one hurricane in October and November in the Atlantic Basin that's ever been stronger. And that is Hurricane Wilma from 20 years ago. And by the way, Wilma was on dates earlier than the present date. Today's the 28th of October. So again, Melissa is the strongest hurricane so late in a hurricane season. So again, this is all history. It's all bad news, especially for Jamaica. And, I'll have a lot more to talk about some of what's driving this, what's producing these catastrophic hurricanes, because, by the way, this is the fourth major hurricane so far this year. 3 of the 4 major hurricanes have reached category 4 and 5 status. 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 5? Anyway, a very large number. I think only.
Not good.
So we've seen flights delayed coming to and from that city, but Montego Bay, though, that one is a problem. You can see their flights have been canceled since yesterday. And one woman I spoke to from Houston says she's riding out the storm.
One of the biggest problems when hurricanes like this make landfall in Puerto Rico or Jamaica or other Caribbean islands, Caribbean nations, is that the infrastructure is not as robust to withstand such a powerful force of nature. Cuba is another example as well. Because the reality is that America, for all of its issues, for all of its failures, still has at least a competent response, usually. That's changing as well. We're privatizing FEMA. You already know. Having said that, however, there is at least a somewhat stronger infrastructure, even if our infrastructure is still dog shit, somewhat stronger infrastructure than these other places that are much poorer. Also, when you're on an island, you don't really have a lot of places to go to other than higher elevation. People like the Jamaican population exists at the intersection of so many different forms of capitalist erosion, whether it be their government services and their infrastructure expenditure being destroyed by IMF initiatives that demand austerity and substitute what should be controlled by the government with private ownership, foreign capital in many instances that don't actually care to create the competent response necessary or to create the strong infrastructure necessary to survive these sorts of things because they have no care or consideration for the people. And a big part of the reason why these extreme once-in-a-lifetime weather events take place with regular frequency now is also because of the first world and its endless consumption. Our carbon footprint.
In a hotel.
It's so disheartening because I feel like we had so much time to get out.
It was supposed to be a fun girls' trip for a group of friends out of Houston. But now that flights out of Montego Bay have been canceled, they can't come home, at least not yet.
It's actually getting really bad now compared to how it was earlier.
Deborah Shields showing us the view from her window at the Grand Palladium Resort in Lucy, about 24 miles west of Montego Bay. Shields and her friends now experiencing Hurricane Melissa from their hotel rooms.
It sounds like, you know, how people, when they tell ghost stories and they're like, woo, it's a lot of that. And the door sounds like somebody's trying to break through it. I don't know if you could even hear it banging. It sounds like somebody's like grabbing a handle and trying to force their way in the door, but it's really just the wind.
As visitors hunker down, residents are too.
Decided to leave because we were hearing storm surges, you know, close to 10 feet. And so we figured it was better to be in higher ground.
Former South Florida resident Sherry Monroe lives in Freeport, Montego Bay, but evacuated with family to higher ground in Great River, Hanover.
Close to where my home is in Freeport, Montego Bay. That's also where my boats are docked. So I'm most worried about my house, but also worried about my boats, and my captains are actually on the boat riding out the storm.
The flapping awning behind her still holding on around 11 a.m. Eastern. By 1 p.m., she says it was gone and water was dripping from her ceiling. So I was able to check in with Sherry just a couple of minutes ago. She says things are still getting worse. Her home that she's riding out the storm in has lost some windows. She says, quote, everywhere is leaking, but she says she's also heard from friends who did ride out the storm in Montego Bay, and that some of those folks have actually lost the roofs to their homes. She says that this is extremely devastating and that she's getting emotional just thinking about how much damage this would cause. And of course, she says that there are some loved ones at this point that she can't even get a hold of. In fact, the only reason that she's able to communicate with us is because she's got a generator and one of those Starlink satellites. Reporting live at MIA, Leanne Morejon.
Back here in the United States, the largest labor union of
Video from Montego Bay. Watch a gazebo collapse as conditions worsen in Montego Bay, Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa made landfall's Category 5 storm about 36 miles south of New Hope on Tuesday. Wait, why'd you say hashtag ad? Can I give you my update, please? Okay. Go ahead, Stinky 19. It's time for the Stinky 19 weather report. Before we move on to the other man-made devastation caused by American Congress against the American working class, because they're waging a war as well. All right, Stinky, give it to me. Stinky 19. Didn't know Stinky was international. I'm sorry, chat. I'm on mobile, says Stinky. Stink it up. Yeah. You got to say, now we go to Stinky 19 for some crucial updates on Hurricane Melissa and how we got here. Stinky 19 is on mobile, so there is a significant delay. Melissa made landfall in southwestern Jamaica near New Hope at around 1 p.m. EDT as an extremely powerful Category 5 hurricane with max winds of 185 miles per hour and minimum pressure of 892 millibars. Okay. This is what 185 mile per hour winds sound like. And what it looks like. Catastrophic and life-threatening winds, flash flooding, and storm surge are occurring on the island. Audio files just exploded. As of 6 p.m. EDT, Melissa is a Cat 4 with a maximum wind speed of 145 miles per hour with a minimum pressure of 921 millibars. It is weakened because it is now over land and no longer being fueled by water. Melissa is 10 miles east of Montego Bay, Jamaica, and is moving across the island at 8 miles per hour. 7 p.m. update incoming. We'll update when I have it. Thank you. Looks like the very rough ride was confirmed. Plane had to leave early. They reported SVR turb and a sawtooth eye. Looks like they moved 600, 700 feet up and down during the stretch in 1 minute. But they captured some historic data, including a 893 millibar center drop. Mission for the ages. Nice. I showed the video from where the landfall happened. And now back to American devastation brought about by our congressional leaders and their lack of interest in funding healthcare. For those of you who don't know, wait, oh, is there more? Oh shit, sorry, I didn't realize Stinky had more. As of 10 a.m. this morning, Stinky always has more. As of 10 a.m. this morning, Melissa has beaten Hurricane Milton last year in Miami in both wind speed and minimum pressure. Milton's max wind speed was 180 miles. This is and his minimum pressure was 895 miles. Melissa is tied for third place with the 1935 Labor Day hurricane for the strongest hurricanes on record by pressure. Only 7 Atlantic hurricanes have had a minimum pressure that has reached below 900 millibars. On Sunday and Monday, Melissa was stalled 100 to 140 miles off the coast of Kingston, Jamaica, moving forward at around 3 to 5 miles. This was very unusual. Hurricanes usually move at around 10 to 15. Because of the way Melissa just stalled off the coast, Jamaica has been receiving massive amounts of rain and strong winds for the past 2 days before the storm even made landfall. Yesterday, one of the Hurricane Hunter aircrafts had to leave the storm early because of the conditions within the storm. Literally the first time I've ever heard of this. These aircrafts are literally made to withstand these conditions. Yeah, repost.